In this video, I'm going to tell you the things that you should know before you go to Malta. Although it hasn't always been the first Mediterranean island on every holidaymaker's bucket list, Malta is now seeing swarms of tourists visiting every year, and I'm going to share all the information you need to know for your trip here. And of course, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button for more travel content. First of all, let's talk about the reasons to visit Malta. The fact that this beautiful island has over 300 days of sunshine a year is reason alone to want to visit. But there's so much more to Malta that makes it such a special place, like its rich history and culture, as well as the crystal clear water and locations like the Blue Lagoon. Whether you like adventurous hikes, fun water sports, or even peaceful spots to relax and get some well-earned rest, Malta has it all and is a suitable destination for couples, big groups and families, or even solo travelers. Now, although I do recommend trying to learn some of the language when you're visiting a destination, it's also quite helpful to know that in Malta, English is an official language, so you should find communication pretty easy. Now, something that isn't always easy is deciding when to go. Because of the consistent sunny weather, there are not many times during the year that Malta isn't great to visit, with June, July and August being the warmest and most popular months. However, you'll likely find crowds everywhere and also plenty of traffic during those summer months, so the shoulder seasons of spring and autumn, and in particular the months of May and September, are the perfect time to go, where you can still experience plenty of sunshine and indulge in loads of water activities, but with the plus of having fewer crowds and even cheaper prices for both hotels and flights. Although of course, Malta in general is a lot of the time cheaper than some of the other popular Mediterranean islands, and so is quite budget friendly. But we'll talk about that a bit more later in the video. Next up is where to stay in Malta. There are many great places to stay in Malta, like Melia for a beach holiday or Mdina, the original capital, but there are three main areas where tourists typically choose to stay. One of them is Valletta, which is the capital of Malta and the best place to stay for things like sightseeing, with over 28 historical churches, as well as several impressive fortresses and palaces. And being that it is the capital, staying in and around Valletta is a great idea if you want to travel out to Gozo, another island in Malta. Or even if you want to take a short ferry journey to Sliema, which paired with St. Julian's is the next area I'd recommend to stay in. St. Julian's and Sliema are both great areas to set as your base, and during my trip to Malta, my hotel was right in the middle of both of them. Prices are slightly cheaper in these areas than in Valletta, which is why it's no surprise they're the most popular option for tourists to stay in Malta. That, coupled with the buzzing restaurant scene along Spinola Bay, a high-end shopping mall, and popular nightlife in the neighbouring Pachaville. If you're travelling with family or are particularly looking for budget accommodation though, then Bugiba and St. Paul's Bay might be your best bet. With a sandy beach, lots of restaurants nearby and good public transport connections, Bugiba and St. Paul's Bay are definitely a great option to stay in. Speaking of public transport, let's talk about getting around Malta. Being a small island, it's fairly easy to get around Malta, but it is important to know that the public transport system is a bit questionable. There are buses that can take you all around the island, but I'd only recommend this for short journeys, as at times what should be a 45-minute bus journey can end up taking up to 2 hours. Saying that, prices are pretty reasonable at a maximum of €3 per 2-hour journey. I'd recommend hiring a car though, as it's probably the easiest way to get around the island, but you can also use taxi services like Bolt, which is most reliable, or e-cabs, and of course the white taxi service too, which can pick up customers from anywhere, except bus stops. And if you want to switch it up a little, there's also a water taxi service using traditional Maltese daïsa boats, as well as catamarans and ferries that can take you to the islands of Gozo and Camino. Now let's get on to some top local tips. Although I have recommended hiring a car for your trip, you should also know that traffic is a big problem in Malta, so don't be surprised if you get caught up in long traffic jams, but most importantly, drive carefully, as there's known to be quite a lot of reckless driving in Malta. Where you can, you should even walk, as this is one of the best ways to get engrossed in the culture of this wonderful country. Speaking of culture, the Maltese are very big on modesty, and so please make sure you don't walk around bare-chested or in beach attire away from bathing areas. And if you do plan on visiting any of the stunning churches in Malta, make sure to dress appropriately as a sign of respect, covering your shoulders especially. Wi-Fi is widely available in hotels and restaurants, and for any electrical equipment, plugs the Type G UK standard 3-pin, something I was very happy about. But not to worry if you don't have those, adapters are easy to find in local stationery shops and supermarkets. The currency in Malta is the euro, and you can find currency exchange in local banks as well as the airport. Most restaurants and shops accept debit and credit card though, so if you don't have any cash it may not be a major issue. But it is still quite useful to keep some on you, as it's common practice to tip 10% in restaurants, and it can come in handy if you want to get a quick bite from a street vendor like pastizi, which is a traditional Maltese pastry commonly filled with ricotta or curried peas. And for more Maltese delicacies and things to do in Malta, make sure you check out my video on the top 10 things to do in Malta. And that's the things to know before you go to Malta. Drop a comment below if you found this video useful, or if there are any other tips that you'd give, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon like your life depends on it for more travel content.